So, my name is Gal, if you're new here. I'm a curly hairstylist. I work out of Ottawa, Canada, and every Wednesday morning I go through a full hair routine on my hair to show you right now how I do my hair. So we're gonna get right into it. To give you a little context, I do my hair once a week. Once a week. Last week I could have worn my hair down and spirally all 6 days right up until my wash day. I didn't. Like, at a certain point, sometimes you just get tired of wearing your hair down, especially like I didn't leave the house for a couple of days. So I didn't protect my hair the 5th night. And so I wore my, I didn't wear a silk scarf or anything at night, and I just wore my hair in a messy bun the 6th day. I wasn't leaving the house, but I probably could have refreshed it again on the 6th day. So that kind of context is important because I spend a little bit of time styling my hair on my wash day. This live is normally about 90 minutes to give you some context. It doesn't take me quite that long to style my hair if I'm not on a live. I can do it in between 45 minutes and an hour if I'm not slowing down, explaining what I'm doing, answering questions, all that fun stuff. But yeah, 45 minutes to an hour to style my hair. I do that once a week, and I spend about 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes on my hair in the morning throughout the week. Sometimes I just wake up and shake my hair out. Especially day 2, day 4, day 5, the days in between when I've spent 5 to 10 minutes on a quick little refresh. Usually every second day I don't need to do anything. The exceptions to that would be the days that I go into the salon. Other than day 2, usually I spend at least 5 minutes just doing a quick little refresh. I am a hairstylist. I want to make sure my hair looks banging when I go to the salon. So that being the context for today's live, yes, this is going to be a longer hair routine, but I do my hair once a week. So for me, it's worth it. Not everybody's hair, curly, wavy hair, can last 6 days. It doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong. If you have very fine, very low density hair, it may need to be kind of restyled every 2nd or 3rd day with a wet refresh. You may not need to fully wash and shampoo your hair every 2nd or 3rd day, but you may need to wet down your hair, especially if you have a weak curl pattern or hair that is very fragile. The curl pattern is going to struggle. So not everybody is going to be well suited for the hair routine that I'm going to do today. I get that. That's not necessarily who this routine is for. However, you might still find watching this live helpful because I'm going to go through a whole bunch of different tips and tricks as we go through the routine today that will be more universally applicable, or at least I'm going to go through and talk about who each of these tips are for and what some of the alternatives might be depending on your hair type. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing I like to do is I start by applying my products to soaking wet hair. Now, because I've been kind of getting set up for this live, it's been about 10 minutes since I got out of the shower. So because my hair tends to push out water a little bit, it's more on the medium to higher porosity side these days. Tiny little bit of heat damage in my hair. Hey Joy, how are you? I'm gonna actually stick my head back under the faucet. For my hair type, I can use an infinity mister, but it doesn't quite cut it. I need my hair to be soaking wet, dripping, saturated wet to really control frizz. Now, not everybody needs to have saturated hair while you're styling it, but I would garner to say most people are going to benefit from their hair being soaking wet when they apply their products. During the styling step, you might prefer your hair to be damp, but when you apply your products, it's going to, with the exception of maybe mousse for some hair types, it does make it easier to evenly distribute the product. So, I'm literally going to stick my head under a faucet. And I'm not squeezing any of the water out of my hair. I'm literally just going to let it drip. 1 second. I'll let you kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm just letting it like drip, and I'm actually gonna start applying my products over the sink. What I would recommend for you is to actually bring your styling products into the shower with you. So as soon as you rinse out your conditioner, without removing any of the water from your hair, you can start applying your styling products. And that's gonna be easiest so you don't make a big mess in your bathroom. The first styling product that I'm gonna apply to my hair, most people are gonna benefit from one base product and one topper product. For most people, that's gonna look like a curl cream and a gel, or a leave-in conditioner and a gel. Instead of a curl cream for my hair, I use a blowout cream. They're very lightweight, they contain heat protectant. You're gonna wanna choose something that's right for your hair. And I can be pretty generous because my hair can tolerate a lot of product. So I'm gonna go in with about that much to start. And I'm gonna concentrate the blowout cream from mids to ends, and then I'm gonna work my way back up towards the root. Just making sure that it's evenly distributed, and again, kind of being careful that I'm not squeezing the water out of my hair. I wanna let my hair stay nice and wet. And now that the curl cream's in there, my hair is gonna have a little bit of an easier time staying wet, hopefully. I use a very lightweight curl cream in my hair because my hair does get weighed down relatively easily, despite my hair being like medium as far as like coarseness. I don't have fine hair at all. I wouldn't describe it as super coarse, although I do have one patch at the back of my crown that's starting to become a little bit more coarse. It's changing texture. I don't know if it's starting to go gray or something like that. But my hair is like medium, tilting towards coarse in some areas. So my hair can tolerate a lot of product. Okay, so I've gone in with my curl cream. Or in this case, it's a blowout cream by Mela and Cara. Love this product. The next product I'm gonna go in with is a mousse. So base product, topper product. Most people, if you're new to taking care of your wavy or curly hair, you're just gonna use a gel as your topper product. If you don't know what product to choose, choose a gel. If you're like, oh, I can't use gels, they're too heavy for my hair. Guys, there are so many gels. DevaCurl has fantastic, really lightweight gels. No, DevaCurl is not gonna make your hair fall out. Yes, there was something to do with their one product, their low poo shampoo, one of their products a very long time ago. It was more to do with how the product was being used. There was never anything found with any of their ingredients. DevaCurl is safe to use. You can absolutely use DevaCurl. It's fine. DevaCurl gels are fantastic. They're very, very lightweight. So if you're looking for a lightweight gel, that's a great direction to look in. But there's gels for every weight. If you're looking for a heavier gel because your hair is more coarse, then you might gravitate towards something a little bit heavier, like I Create Hold by InnerSense. There's fantastic gels at all different weights depending on what your hair needs. Lately, I have quite short hair. I like lots of volume, so I've been using a mousse paired with I Create Definition, which is a very unique foam that has extra strong hold. Usually foam has almost no hold, but we'll get to that in a second. So I'm pairing two products together instead of a gel. The Vital Curl Soft, and the reason I choose those two products together is to get lots of volume. If you like lots and lots of volume, then in that case, you might decide to switch it up. Instead of a gel, you might use a mousse and a gel, or you might use just a mousse. If you use just a mousse, you might be sacrificing some longevity, something to keep in mind. Mousse on its own typically doesn't have great longevity, but again, everybody's hair is a little bit different. So I'm gonna go in with, oh sorry, my hands are wet, so I'm having a hard time getting product out of here. Again, my hair can tolerate a lot of product, so we're gonna start with about this much mousse. And I'm going to put that all throughout my hair. And already my hair's not dripping anymore. That's how quickly my hair pushes out water. Okay. let me dry my hands a little bit so I can get more product out. Okay, and now I'm gonna add that much mousse again. So this is the Vital Curl Soft Defining Mousse. I love this mousse by Weedad because it's very moisturizing. A lot of drugstore mousses are gonna dry your hair out. This mousse leaves a bit of a shiny finish on my hair, which my hair is naturally silkier. And it also is very moisturizing. It's not drying at all, which is awesome. Okay. So I like to definitely concentrate some of the mousse right at the back of my hair where I have that coarse patch which struggles to clump. So you'll notice I really concentrated quite a bit of that mousse right back there because mousse is really great at getting hair to clump and come together. So I really concentrated a good amount of the product right there. Okay, the next product I'm going in with is I Create Definition Styling Foam. So I kind of used two topper products, a mousse and a foam. This foam, like I said, very unique. Most foam, what's the difference between mousse and foam? Mousse is like a whipped cream consistency. Foam is gonna be like bubbles and is gonna have a pump top as opposed to like an aerated can. Mousse. You'll notice, here, I'm gonna do this now. You'll notice that I'm actually just going to make sure my hair is nice and wet before I start applying the foam because I don't like to add too much water to my hair after applying the foam because I find it gets diluted very easily because it's such a lightweight product. But I will continue to add water all throughout the styling process because my hair gets frizzy very easily, and water is going to be the only thing that helps control frizz. You can't just keep adding more and more product. Once you've added your product, it's only water that's going to help you control frizz. It's not entirely true, you can add more product, but at a certain point it's going to be too much product. Okay. Oh, my hand's cramping up. Okay, so the I Create Definition foam, let's talk about it for a sec. Most foams are going to give you some volumizing properties. Foams can be great for people who have fine, low density hair, want more volume, and maybe want a very soft hold. The I Create Definition foam by InnerSense is very, very unique. It does not have a soft hold. It's not really a volumizing product, but it is very lightweight. So in that sense, it's not going to weigh down your hair. It is actually a very stronghold product. Okay, so while most foams aren't really going to give you much hold, this one is going to give you a hold compared that is like similar to a very strong hold gel. So that's why I use it on top of my mousse, because if I was to just use mousse on its own, I wouldn't get much longevity out of my style. Maybe I'd get 3 days. But when I top this foam on top of my mousse, I can get 6 days out of my style. And I get a little bit better definition. I Create Definition, right? So it's a fantastic product if you're looking for very, very lightweight, very, very strong hold. One thing I do warn people is you can overdo it with this product. Some people only need 1 or 2 pumps of it. You're gonna notice me put in like 7 or 8 pumps in my hair. That's unusual. When I'm in the salon, I rarely use more than 3 or 4 pumps in someone's hair. I've experimented with this product a lot, so I know what my hair can tolerate, and I don't mind having a stronger cast in my hair. So no, like if you're trying this product for the first time, I would definitely recommend starting with like 2 or 3 pumps of it. And if you find your cast is too strong and you are struggling to break the cast, just dial it back next time to 1 or 2 pumps of it. If working with a product you're finding you're trying to do the rake and shake or the Denman brush and you feel like it's straightening your hair or leaving your hair straight, your hair is not wet enough. This is a product that if you want to work with it with damp hair, it needs to be the last product you apply and you'll have to scrunch it in. Because it is such a stronghold product that it's pretty much going to, like, once your hair starts drying, it's gonna like shellac your hair into that position once it starts drying, because it's very, very strong hold. So you need to keep your hair very wet while you're working with it. So you can see I like to apply it in sections because it's a foam. I find it's very easy to not evenly distribute it, like for it all to like end up in one area, and not like, because wherever you kind of like start applying it, it kind of all goes there in my experience. So I just quickly section my hair and I apply it in sections. And that has worked well for me. I don't spend a lot of time doing this, but I just kind of go through and put it in one pump at a time. And the product that I'm talking about right now is I Create Definition by InnerSense. For some people it works better as a combined topper product, so I went in with a curl cream first and then I combined a mousse and I Create Definition. Some people with very coarse hair, it might work better to use it like a gel and I Create Definition. And then some people, it works great on its own. It just depends on your hair. So you can see I just like to apply it in sections like this. But I absolutely love the definition that it gives me. And it's just like a very lasting, strong hold, great frizz control. And I love how lightweight it is combined with the mousse. So yeah, definitely a good fit for my hair. The only thing I don't love about it is that I have to apply it in sections like this. I wish I could just apply it all over in one go, because it definitely does take me a couple of minutes to apply it like this, which is kind of annoying. But because I only do my hair once a week, it's not a big deal. And this is my last section. And then we will have applied all of the product. Okay. So this is definitely the most I Create Definition that I've ever applied. I feel like I just did like 9 pumps. I don't know, I didn't really pay attention. But we'll see how that goes. Okay, so then I take all my clumps out, or all my clips out. Can we see the bottle? Yeah. InnerSense, I Create Definition. It's just like a foam. Okay, so once I have applied all of my product, I add more water. So you saw how wet my hair was before I started applying product. It's pretty wild that I add more water, but that is the only way I am going to control frizz. Now, let me be clear. Not everybody needs to apply more water after they apply their products. But if you want to control frizz, if that's one of your goals, that you want less frizz than you currently have, or you want larger curl clumps, then I would highly recommend keeping your hair extremely saturated during the styling process. There are some exceptions, so absolutely experiment, see what works well for your hair. And if you just find working with your hair while it's damp works best for your hair, then go for it. There's no right or wrong. Ultimately, just whatever works best for your hair is what's the right thing to do. But for many, many hair types, working with it dripping wet is going to make your life so much easier. I literally just cupped my hand to get it wet enough because my hair just pushes out the water. Okay, there we go. Now it's wet enough. And now I'm going to do the next step, which is, what is that mist spray bottle you're using? So I'm using the Les Brands Infinity Mister. There's tons of Infinity Misters on the market. I do use it a little bit, but you'll notice I run a faucet and like cut my hand under most of the time because my hair just pushes water out like crazy. Okay, so the next step for me is the styling step. This is fantastic for transitioning hair. This is great if your hair is different curl patterns and you're trying to even out the curl pattern. This is great if you are trying to fight stringiness or you just really struggle with frizz, okay? I'm gonna do a technique called the rake and shake method. I brush it with a Denman brush to clump the hair. I rake my fingers through to create individual curl clumps. I give her a little shake to revive the curl pattern. And the first section is done. That's how I do the back of my head. I don't obsess about it too much. I can't even see what I'm doing. And then I move to the next section. That's it. I tend to let down, when I'm doing my own hair, sections roughly the width of my knuckles, just because that's easier for me to work with. If I'm doing someone else, I'll let down a whole row at a time. But because I find if I do that on myself, sometimes I'll do it and use alligator clips to separate what I have and what I haven't done. But I find sometimes it's easier to just do one section at a time. So you want the sections to be roughly the same amount of hair in each curl clump. Remember, when you shake, you're just reactivating the curl with a little skipping rope turn, okay? We're gonna scrunch the hair later, so you don't need to go crazy with shaking. I think that's one mistake I see a lot of people do is they really shake the section quite a bit. There's no need. We're gonna scrunch the hair later. Okay, I'm gonna let down one section on each side and clip the hair back up. And I'm gonna start running my faucet just on a very low drizzle because I can already feel that my hair is getting a little too dry. And when I say feel, I partly go by feel, but I feel like when you're just getting used to doing the rake and shake method, the feel of your hair is going to be very deceiving because you're going to be like, no, my hair is soaking wet. It feels wet enough. In reality, for many hair types, it needs to be more than soaking wet. The only way you can really know if your hair is wet enough is if all the little hairs are laying down on their own. That's the only way you know if the section is clumping. If the section is not clumping and there's little hairs, especially if you have silver flecks in your hair, silver strands, if all those little white or silver hairs are popping up and they're not lying down on their own, your hair's not wet enough. I don't care how soaking wet you think it is. Because think about it, when you're getting out of a lake, are those little white hairs popping up? No, they're not. They're lying down. So if you think your hair is soaking wet, but those little white hairs are still popping up, keep adding water until it looks like you just got out of a lake. Now, Some products are going to get diluted more easily than others. So if you're worried about that, I would stick to a gel, because gel has a lot of water-loving properties in it. So it's not going to get diluted as easily or as quickly. So you're not going to have to worry so much about like watering down the product. The foam I'm working with right now absolutely can get over diluted from water, but I don't worry about it, because I know with my hair the only way that I can get lasting hydration with my hair and lasting frizz control is by adding enough water. The only way I'm going to get 6 days out of my hair is making sure I add enough water. If I dilute down the product a little bit and my bottle of product lasts 20% less time, but I'm able to get 6 days out of my hair because instead of only 4 or 5 days, well, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's a perceived savings. Like, I'm getting more days out of my hair, so the fact that I had to use maybe a little bit more product doesn't really matter. To me, at least. Oh, thank you. I just started using a curling pudding with mousse combo. That's cool. I've never heard of a curling pudding. So around these corners of my head, I have some very stubborn areas. So you'll notice the whole bottom section of my head there, you'll notice I just did like a really traditional rake and shake method. But you will notice I do a hybrid as I go up my head. I do really traditional rake and shake at the bottom where my hair is relatively well behaved. Then at these like corner sections on the curve of my head, my curl pattern has a tendency to be less well behaved. You're gonna get to know your head. You're gonna get to know the areas that respond well to whatever technique and the areas that don't respond as well. If I was looking at my head from the back, like if I was doing my hair as another person, I could probably still rake and shake those sections. But I have struggled a little bit doing those corner sections rake and shake on myself because I can't see what I'm doing. So sometimes I'll finger curl those corner sections and I'll finger curl the crown of my head. And I also like to brush curl my part. So again, I style my hair once a week, so I don't mind having a hybrid. I know what works for well. Oops. Hello. Are you still in Cosmo School apprenticing? Yeah, so apprenticeships last 2 to 3 years in hairstyling. So it's about 3,200 hours of working. So yes, I am still an apprentice. I'm taking the apprenticeship route, so I will have more schooling. I'm rake and shaking next summer, but currently I'm working full-time in the salon. Well, not quite full-time. I think I work like 30 hours a week. A lot of people don't realize that hairstyling is a red seal trade. So it's like a pretty involved process to become a hairstylist. Thank you. A fully licensed hairstylist, I should say. But I am cutting hair in the salon. You can absolutely book with me if someone is looking to. So I use a Denman brush. You can use any sort of brush that's going to provide some resistance. You could use like what are they called? A cushion brush or something like that. Something that is going to help the hair to clump and smooth any wet frizz. Yeah, the Denman brush. The Denman brush isn't like magic. It doesn't specifically have to be a Denman brush. But you do want something that is, the reason Denman brushes are popular is they have rubber backing. So they create a little bit more resistance. And also they're just very high quality brushes. You can clean them, you can take them apart to clean them. There's no areas in them where mold can grow. That's why cosmetologists use them. They're just a high quality brush, but it doesn't have to be a diamond brush that you're using. You just want a brush that is going to provide some resistance, that's going to help the hair to clump, and you want to brush through the section first to smooth wet frizz and to clump the section. But yes, I would say for most hair types, brushing through the section first is going to make your hair a lot easier. I mean, you could technically use a boar bristle brush if you wanted to. Okay, so I just want to show you guys the section I'm looking at right here. So this section here, I can see that, or I can feel that this section is too broad vertically. And I happen to know that it's about this broad vertically. If I try to put this all in one rake and shake, it's gonna split apart and get stringy on me. I also happen to know that this is a section of my head that gets stringy very easily. So one of the ways I can address that is by making my section smaller vertically, by adding more water, making sure the section is very, very wet. That's gonna help it come together. I can brush it again to help it all come together. And then I can use my other hand to pinch it vertically and to help the section to stay kind of from getting too stringy. And there, it looks like it clumped pretty nicely there. And now my other section is looking like a good size, maybe a little narrow. So maybe I'll just take my hands and finger curl this separately. And I'll do just each of these as a little finger curl. And when I finger curl, I just finger curl and then I shake to revive the curl. So I'm still kind of rake and shaking. And here, as I was finger curling, I could tell that this was separating. So probably there's like a crown, or those are going in two separate curl directions. There's no point in trying to make them combine if they don't want to. I could add more water and see if that helped them combine, but I know that I think I have a crown there. So I'm just gonna split them apart and let them be two separate curls. So again, I just have like my faucet running here on a very low drizzle, and that's going to make it a lot easier for me. I just keep putting you can't see, but I keep just putting my hand under the faucet and running my hand through my hair to keep it nice and saturated. So this section here, I can see that's way too thick vertically. So I'm just gonna take the bottom of that section out. And when I say it's too thick vertically, what's gonna happen when it's too thick vertically? It's going to get stringy. Okay? So now I've got my section. Okay, I can see right away it's getting a little bit stringy, so I'm gonna use the other hand to kind of pinch it together. There we go. See how that helped it come together? Give it a little rake and a little shake just to revive the curl, and then let it drop, okay? I'm back at one of these corner sections that I know can be a little bit difficult and often ends up stringy for me. So first thing I do is add more water. So some of the things that you want to consider is the porosity of your hair. If you have very high porosity hair, your hair is going to dry a lot more quickly. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you're adding lots of water throughout the styling process. If your hair is, and you might even benefit, sometimes you benefit depending on your hair texture if you have fine, medium, coarse hair, which of course is going to be the first thing you consider when you're choosing your styling products. But it can sometimes help to have a curl cream that it just, like a cream product that has just enough weight to it that it helps your hair stay a little bit more wet. keeping in mind whether your hair is fine, medium, or coarse, and what your hair can tolerate. If your hair is very low porosity, that is also something you're going to want to consider when you're choosing products. And what I mean by that is if you have very low porosity hair, it can sometimes help to start with something like a very light leave-in conditioner, which will help your hair to start accepting moisture. Some people use like a water-loving gelée or a very light, watery leave-in conditioner as something that helps the cuticles to start receiving moisture, because their hair tends to be very resistant. If they just go in with like a heavier curl cream or something like that, it's just gonna sit on top of their hair. So by starting with something much lighter, their hair will receive moisture much, much more easily, and then the preceding products will actually enter the hair as opposed to just sitting on top. So you definitely want to consider porosity when you're choosing your products, but it's to an extent, right? Like, you're not going to choose heavy products just because you have high porosity hair. You also have to take into consideration, do I have fine hair? Do I have hair that can tolerate a heavier product? Do I have coarse hair? Do I need heavier products because my hair is more coarse? So like, you need to take into consideration other things, not just porosity. Okay, I have a crown. If you're like me and you have a crown right here, you see that natural split? I'm telling you, it is life-changing to part your hair there. If I don't part my hair there, it will part there starting day 2, and then all the rest of my curls will just like freak out. So like, I'll try and part it separately on day 1, but by day 2 or day 3, it will be parted there, because just overnight it like starts to fall there. And then it feels like I need to do a way bigger refresh because my curls are all facing weird directions. So anyways, I don't fight it anymore, even though that's like a very weird place for my hair to part. It's like not quite a middle part, not quite a side part, but I just don't fight it. That's what my hair wants to do. Okay, I'm gonna do one more row of rake and shake, and then I'm gonna switch to Denman brush curls. 3 weeks of great hairstyles with your routine, and my hair is so happy. Even my refresh 5 to 6 days is awesome. Thank you. Oh, that makes me so happy. It really can make such a difference when you invest in your wash day. Of course, like I said, it does to a certain extent depend on your hair. Not everybody is going to be capable of getting 5 or 6 days out of their wash day without having to re-wet their hair. It is going to depend a little bit on your hair and on your lifestyle. But for those whose hair is capable of it, it is so life-changing. I get all the time people saying, well, curly hair, wavy hair is so much work. Megan says, same here, life-changing, kind of know what I'm doing now. Oh my God, that makes me so happy. But curly hair does not need to be way more work than straight hair. I'm telling you right now, like at this point, I don't straighten my hair really. The haircut I have now, I actually can't really wear it straight. I just did a blowout video because I was trying out a new blow dryer, and I actually don't love how my hair looks straight anymore, just because my hair is really short and very, very layered. It just doesn't work really well as a straight haircut, so I can't really wear it straight anymore. And it's not a big deal because I've been doing this now so long. I know what I'm doing. I'm feeling confident in my refreshes. I do my hair once a week. I do a really quick refresh in the morning. Like when I had straight hair, or when I used to wear my hair straight, I should say, I didn't know that you could protect your hair at night. So I wasn't like, which I could have been doing, which would have made it much easier in the morning. You can absolutely do that, by the way, if you do decide to straighten your hair. You can still wear your bonnet or silk scarf at night, and then it might help you if you sweat at night to not make your nape go curly again. Now, when I used to straighten my hair, I would still wear my silk scarf, and then I wouldn't have to re-straighten my hair every single day. But anyways, I didn't know that when I used to straighten my hair. So I would have to basically re-straighten the nape of my neck and my bangs, anywhere where I would sweat every single day. It would all get curly. And so I was still doing a ton of work. Plus, my hair used to get oily pretty fast because I would touch my hair a lot, and also just my hair used to get oily much faster because I was shampooing it more frequently. So even when I straightened it, which took me, between drying my hair and straightening my hair, took me like an hour, it would only last me 2 or 3 days. Maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days if I was lucky. So I was spending just as much time on my hair. Now I just do my hair once a week and it lasts me 6 days with just these tiny little refreshes. So I'm not spending more time on my hair now. I've always spent a lot of time on my hair, and I would say now I'm probably spending either the same amount of time or maybe a little bit less. But it took me a while to get there, and I think there's the challenge. If you had been raised always wearing your hair wavy or curly, this would be second nature to you, and it wouldn't feel so overwhelming. The challenge is that you're trying to learn this skill as an adult, and you're trying to probably figure it out on your own, which is hard. So you have to give yourself some grace. You have to be patient with yourself. You're learning a new skill, but just trust that you can get there. You can learn, even if you're somebody who is going to have to restyle your hair on a more regular basis, you can find out how to do fast refreshes on your hair. What products do you use in your hair routine? I actually just posted a video on this on both TikTok and Instagram, so wherever you're following me, you can check it out if you want to be able to refer back to it. But the products in my hair right now are the Mela and Kira Blowout Cream as my curl cream, and then I used the Vital Curl Soft Defining Mousse by Weedad, and then I used the I Create Definition by Intersense, which is a foam. Now, if you are just joining the live now, you can go back and watch this recording. I always post the recordings on both YouTube and on Instagram. So the recordings are always available retroactively. What I hate is that it's so hard to maintain. Can't swim, can't put my hair in a ponytail, etc., etc. So that's interesting. So I had a pool this summer. I typically didn't put my hair underwater because it was a chlorine pool. But that wasn't because I wore my hair curly. That was because I don't like to put chlorine in my hair. So I wouldn't have done that anyways, even if I wore my hair straight. Chlorine's not great for your hair. But I also wouldn't have put my head under if I wore my hair straight, because that would have made my hair curly. Right? So I guess that's my question for you, Noemi. When you used to straighten your hair, were you not of the same attitude? If anything, is it not easier to go swimming and then just do a clarifying shampoo afterwards? Maybe if you're up at the cottage, just do a low maintenance routine. Maybe throw a little mousse in your hair so that it air dries quickly. Just scrunch some mousse in after you go swimming and let it air dry. You can go swimming. You can absolutely go swimming. There's no one saying you can't go swimming. As far as putting it up, I do wear my hair up quite a bit. I have a silk scrunchie, and I just put it in a really loose top knot on top of my hair. Doesn't ruin my hair. I also use these not alligator clips. They're so I think a lot of this is about perspective, and it's about education. But the other thing that can be great is what are they called? Banana clips. Banana clips are fantastic if you want to be able to put your hair up. My hair takes a few weeks to get back to its curl pattern. Without product, it curls way less. It takes a few weeks to get back to its curl pattern after swimming? Why would it take a few weeks to get back to its curl pattern after swimming? That seems very unusual. And I'm a hairstylist, like a curly hairstylist. Like, is chlorine building up on your hair that much? After starting the curly method. I don't follow the curly girl method. Definitely make sure though, if you're swimming in chlorine, like I would go to Malibu Sea. They have a great swimming wellness, I think it's called, which is specifically for people who swim in chlorine regularly. It's a shampoo that you can use after you swim in chlorine. So if you want to be able to swim in chlorine and it's not just like river water, I would use like a chlorine shampoo afterwards. But that's not to do with curly hair, that's anybody. Hello gal, can you explain the difference between when a product states hydrating or moisturizing? Hydrating is basically water. It's H2O for your hair. Moisturizing is more like typically what you get from products. So it's going to be like, I don't know what products specifically, but would be moisturizing. I think things like glycerin, like water-loving ingredients. I realize what I just said just sounds like it's redundant. Creams and butters and stuff like that, I would assume, are moisturizing ingredients. But yeah, my understanding of it has always been that like you get moisture from like moisturizing properties from your products, and hydration comes from water. So like when you get hair that's dehydrated, typically it's because you have buildup on your hair and your hair is not able to get properly hydrated from water anymore because you have so much buildup. So the water is not even properly saturated, like it's not getting to your hair strands properly. So your hair is getting wet, but it's not getting hydrated. But I'm sure there are some ingredients that can support hydration. So there might be some products out there that can support hydration, but ultimately it's water that's doing the hydration. If you've ever like gone to refresh your hair and it felt like your hair was dry and you kind of layered creams and stuff on your hair and you just felt like it was not doing what it needed to do, and then you added water to your hair and then it looked shiny and like good again, it's your hair needed hydration, not moisture. And typically, if that's happening on day 2 for you, that's often a sign that your hair actually needs like a treatment of some kind. Do you style with a Denman brush to provide resistance over finger coiling? So I don't do my whole head with Denman brush curls. I only do it along my part line because I really have a very loose curl pattern along my part line, and I just really like how it brushes through and really smooths wet frizz at the same time as it coils the hair. So it kind of turns my S wave into a more of a spiral, and also smooths frizz at the same time. I also find on my hair it gives a slightly larger curl than finger curling does, although that could just be my technique. And also I'm pretty fast at Denman brush curls at this point because I used to do my whole head in Denman brush curls. But there is a trade-off that you get with Denman brush curls. You do lose a little bit of volume. But I only do it along my part line right here. The rest of my head I pretty much do in like rake and shake method, or maybe a couple of finger curls like right around my what's that called? My crown. So So you'll notice how wet, like I'm adding, I don't know if you can tell, but I've been adding a lot of water around my part line because I get a lot of halo frizz around my part line, and the only thing that is gonna tame that halo frizz is by making sure that it is wet enough. And guys, don't go by how it feels. It's gonna feel wet. Go by how it looks. Do you have halo frizz? Do you have little hairs that are sticking up? If yes, add more water. Okay, we're actually going on schedule today. I feel like my last couple of lives have run so long. Okay. So, yay! Done. I think we have the same hair type, however the hair under near the back of my head is straight. Try the rake and shake method, then microplop with a towel, and then diffuse your hair. It really, really helps with uneven curl pattern. Also, get a curly cut. That way they can cut the underneath a little bit shorter, and so that it's not like weirdly sticking out, right? Because if your hair gets cut wet, they're not going to accommodate for the different curl pattern. So now I'm going to take a t-shirt towel, but you could just take a cotton t-shirt, and I am going to scrunch my hair. This is the first time that I scrunch my hair. Now, if your hair frizzes easily, you don't want to over scrunch your hair. I like to use my hands first. Do you see how much water I added to my hair? Nothing came out. My hair absorbed all of it. So I do 2 little scrunches to make sure the water is really pushed into my hair. Let me just close this in case my husband needs to come into the bedroom. Okay, and now I'm going to take a t-shirt or a t-shirt towel, and I'm just going to very gently scrunch. And the reason I like to use a t-shirt towel is to get rid of any excess water. So this is just going to cut down my dry time. So there are some hair types that I actually skip this for. Typically it's people with silver hair, that coarse silver hair that just like the second you touch it with a towel, it gets frizzy. If that describes your hair, use so much water during the styling process and maybe just scrunch like 2 or 3 times with your hair to encourage the curl, and then just leave it. You might even skip scrunching it and just go straight into hover diffusing your hair. If your hair, like the second you touch it to scrunch it, it just gets frizzy. But most people are going to be able to microplop without it getting frizzy. Okay, so depending on how much water your hair retains, at this point, if you have one of those hair types that really gets weighed down by water, you might scrunch it a little bit more. You really might want to remove some of that excess water. You might even scrunch in some foam, like a normal foam, not a Great Definition, after removing the excess water if your hair is weighed down more easily by that water. But yeah. There we go. Now we're done the styling step, and I'm going to diffuse my hair. Now the reason I diffuse my hair as opposed to air dry is because hair is extremely fragile while it's wet. The longer that your hair is wet, likely the frizzier it's going to get, because every time your hair gets touched while it's wet, it gets a little bit more frizzy. Here we go. And that includes sitting against the back of your car seat, literally my hair rubbing over my shoulders, that's creating frizz, wind, putting a t-shirt on, putting a scarf on, all of these things are creating frizz. So if my hair takes like 8 hours to air dry, so you can imagine how frizzy my hair would get in 8 hours just from living my life. So I diffuse my hair in order to reduce the amount of time that my hair is wet. Now, if your hair air dries in 2 hours or less, and you don't naturally have frizzy hair, and you're not trying to increase the volume that you have or increase your curl pattern, sure, air dry your hair, okay? You don't want your hair to be curlier, you don't want more volume, and your hair air dries in 2 hours or less, I do not object to air drying. I get it. Your hair is not frizzy, and it's not frizzy. You're not upset about how much frizz you're getting. But if you are going to come into my salon and complain that your hair is too frizzy, or say I want more volume, or I want my hair to be curlier, any of these things, the answer is going to be diffusing. That's how you get there. It's just how you get there. You don't even have to diffuse 100% of the way if you don't want to. But the truth is, diffusing is going to get you there. It's going to help you solve those problems. Now, diffusing with pore diffusing technique is going to make your hair more frizzy. But using good diffusing technique makes all the difference. Now, there's two main diffusing techniques. First is going to be cover diffusing. Cover diffusing creates the least amount of frizz, but it does not do anything to encourage your curl pattern. For most of my clients, 90% of them, I'm going to start with cover diffusing. Actually, I'm going to put you under a hood dryer because it's going to be a lot faster. But it's essentially cover diffusing. You hover the diffuser 8 to 10 centimeters away from your hair. If you want a defined part, it's a very good idea to start with cover diffusing. In the salon, I would typically put root clips in your hair first and put you under a hood dryer, or you can put root clips under your hair and hover diffuse at home. I don't bother with root clips in my hair. I just can't be bothered. But yeah, if you want a defined part, very important that you start with cover diffusing upright, okay? Because hover diffusing creates the least amount of frizz, I like to hover diffuse on most people until we start to feel a cast. If you don't know what a cast is that stiffness that you start to feel from products that have holes. So a gel or some mousses. In this case, I create definition by Inner Sense that we use, which has very strong holes. So it's that stiffness that you feel. Now, a lot of people are like, I don't like to use products that make my hair crunchy. You're not going to walk around today with crunchy hair, don't worry. But the reason products exist that make your hair crunchy is because that crunchiness, that stiffness, is meant to protect your hair from frizz during the drying process. Because your hair is so fragile when it's wet, those products with holes, those products that create a cast, create a stiff outer shell around your waves or curls before the hair is 100% dry. So that shell will protect your hair from frizz during the drying process, okay? So the idea is you want to leave that cast or that shell intact during the drying process. It's helpful. It's a very, very useful tool. And then once your hair is 100% dry, then you can break the cast just by scrunching your hair, and your hair, all the softness and volume will return to your hair. But that cast is very, very useful. Products that create stiffness or crunch are very, very useful. You should not be afraid of them. They're not going to leave a producty feel in your hair if you use them correctly. Okay, so I don't like to do too much hover diffusing on my hair because I like lots of volume and I like to encourage the curl. So I did a little bit of hover diffusing. Now I'm going to pixie diffuse. I'm going to flip my hair upside down and lower my hair into the mouth of the diffuser. Now, pixie diffusing is going to encourage the curl. But because I'm now touching my hair, I have the potential to create frizz. So it's very important that I hold positions for a long time. If I move the diffuser every 4 or 5 seconds, I'm going to create a ton of frizz, okay? And that's the biggest mistake that I see people making when they pixie diffuse. They immediately cup the hair, and then 2 or 3 seconds later, they move to another position. 2 or 3 seconds later, they move to a different position. And it just creates a ton of frizz. Remember, every time I change positions, I have the potential to break up the curl pattern, break up the curl clumps, and create frizz. So because while my hair is still very wet, I'm going to hold positions for longer. And as my hair gets more and more dry, if I want to move the diffuser a little bit more to create volume, I can. But the key is to hold positions for longer. Now, how long you hold those positions is going to change, A, depending on how much volume you want, and B, depending on how quickly your hair dries. If your hair takes 40 minutes to diffuse, then you might hold positions at the beginning for like 25 seconds. If your hair takes 15 minutes to diffuse, you might hold positions for like 8 seconds. So pixie diffusing is going to encourage our curl pattern. It's going to create more volume. And you can see I like to do it upside down like this. If this is difficult for you, you can lie on a bed and have your hair kind of hanging off the end of the bed. That can be more accessible for some people. There's lots of ways you can do this that are a little bit more comfortable. Now, some people prefer to pixie diffuse first and then hover diffuse. I don't do that because, in my opinion, the whole purpose of the cast is to protect your hair before you touch it. And when you're diffusing, pixie diffusing, you're touching the hair. So I like to hover diffuse first if I'm going to hover diffuse. There are some hair types where I do not hover diffuse, like hair that dries really, really quickly where I want to encourage the curl pattern. If your hair is going to air dry, like diffuse in like 10 or 15 minutes, I might only pixie diffuse. And there are some hair types where I only hover diffuse. But I typically, personally, don't pixie diffuse and then hover diffuse. But you can experiment and see what works right for you because there's no right or wrong answer. There is only whether or not you like the results you're getting. I also like to tilt my head back and make sure I pixie diffuse upwards and tilt it like kind of at a backward angle. And that helps to make sure that I'm not only pulling everything forward, which can sometimes create like a bit of wonkiness at the back. So I highly recommend at some point you kind of tilt the head back. If you're new here, guys, my name is Gal. I'm a curly hairstylist. I work in Ottawa, Canada. As I was explaining, oh my god, my dog food has just been here. Anyways, I work at a salon called Curlology. I do my hair once a week. So I have a longer hair routine because it makes sense for me. I then get 6 days out of my hair. On the 7th day, I wash my hair again. So this hair routine is not going to make sense for everybody. because some people are going to have to restyle their hair more frequently, in which case you would want to shorten it a little bit to make it more practical. What diffuser do you recommend? I use the Lifen, which is linked in my bio. I use it at home, and I love it. It's more affordable than some of the other diffusers. I think it's around the $200 Canadian price point. There's a really great heat cycling mode on it where you can automatically rotate between a high and low heat setting just by pressing a button. Right now, today, I've been diffusing it on the lowest heat setting. I don't diffuse hair on cold. I don't understand why you would. If you have a good quality diffuser, you should have minimal airflow coming out of your diffuser. It's the heat that is drying your hair. I don't understand diffusing on cold because you're basically air drying your hair. But do what works for you. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. Opinions on the Dyson. That's what I use in the salon. I think it's great. I think it's very expensive for residential use. It would be out of my budget for residential use. But everybody has a different budget. So if that's accessible to you for residential use, it's a phenomenal blow dryer. I bought mine secondhand even to use it in the salon. But they're great. They do work really, really well. So you'll notice that I start to move the diffuser a little bit more once the hair starts to get a little bit more dry. I do like to get the hair dry, like pretty much 100% dry before I go in and break the cast. And then it's going to really help control frizz. Now, if you love volume and you're okay having a little bit more frizz in order to get more volume, you might be okay starting to break your cast at like 98% dry because that will help you get more volume. But it depends on your hair. It depends on how frizzy your hair gets naturally. How long does it take you to diffuse your hair? I would say I'm at 90% dry now. So we started 14, 15 minutes ago. But it depends on the products that I'm using. So my hair is much faster to diffuse now because I only use mousse and foam. Yeah, guys, any diffuser is okay to use. You can use a Conair blow dryer and diffuser. Any diffuser is okay to use. I used a Conair blow dryer with the Extava Black Orchid diffuser for years. And my hair... I've been talking too long, sorry. And I was a content creator. I had lots of people following me to find out how I did my hair. You can use whatever you want, but it might take you longer. This Shark blow dryer diffuser is a good quality blow dryer diffuser. I have the Shark Flex Styler. You're welcome. So now we're about 20 minutes into diffusing my hair. Lots of definition, a pretty strong cast today. I used a lot of eye create definition, a lot more than I usually use. Now usually I start breaking the cast about now because I get impatient. But today I really want to try and get my hair 100% dry before I break the cast. I got the Shark with all the different, I think you mean attachments, for Christmas. It's much more cost friendly than the Dyson. Yeah, it is. My only complaint about the Shark, and it could just be mine, it was gifted to me by Shark. I like it, and especially if you're going to use like the blow dryer attachment, the like air wrap attachment, I think it's really good value for money. But I find it makes a high-pitched wailing noise, like a screeching noise, and I find that really annoying. So I find I don't use it, and the other thing is I find it very heavy. Now I've never tried the Dyson air wrap, so I can't compare it, but I do think at this point I'm pretty picky because I've tried a lot of blow dryers. Probably more picky than your average user. So like for the price point, I think it's great. But I find it heavy, and as a hairstylist, that really annoys me. And the high-pitched shrieking noise that it makes annoys me. So for those reasons, I'm like, I like it, and I think if you want the air wrap attachment, I think the price point is worth it. But if you just are going to diffuse your hair, I would go for a different one that's lighter weight. That's one of the reasons I like the Lifen, because it's very, very lightweight. The sound has gone funny. We'll see if it fixes itself. Okay, so you could hear a man coughing. It's weird. Okay. I think I held it in one spot too long, just at the back of my head, because I can smell hair burning. Ooh, whoopsies. Hopefully I didn't damage my hair. Okay, so that took me about 20 minutes exactly with using the Lifen and using very lightweight products on my hair. So you can see my cast. I have a nice stiff cast on my hair today, which is great. My hair, I would say, is bone dry, although once I start breaking the cast, it might start breaking. Do I use heat protection when blow drying? No, because I use a blowout cream as my curl cream, which has built-in heat protectant. Okay, so now I'm going to break my cast. I'm actually going to use a little bit of the Mela and Kira smooth ends to break my cast. Now that is actually a split end mender technically, but it's just like a really nice cream. What kind of gel did I use today? So I didn't use a gel. I used the Vital Curl Soft Defining Mousse, and then I used I Create Definition by Inner Sense. I had to reschedule my nail appointment and I can feel one nail starting to break. I need to get one more week out of it. Okay. Okay, so I can feel, I did a pretty good job getting it dry actually, but I can feel the tiniest bit of dampness in some areas. So just wherever I feel that dryness, I'm gonna go right back in. Where do you buy those products from? My salon. My salon is linked in my bio. You can order from them online. Okay. So now I go in, I finish breaking that cast, and I literally am just scrunching until all of that stiffness or crunchiness goes away. And you can see the difference already. All that volume is coming back into my hair, all that stiffness or crunchiness is going away, but all the definition and like lack of frizz is still there. And that is what a cast does for your hair. And so now I can be like pretty reckless with my hair. Like up until now, I've been treating it with a lot of fragility because it was wet. But now that it's dry and I have almost no frizz in my hair, I can be a lot rougher with it once it's 100% dry. If I feel anywhere that's still a little bit of damp, I'm gonna go in and just make sure that it's dry before I get too rough with it. Now, I personally, like I could shake out my hair, I could add in texture spray to make my hair really voluminous, but this is my day one hair. And you have to remember, I'm gonna get 6 days out of my hair. So I go for a slightly more defined look on day one, and I start to really build my volume around day 3. I've always used an oil to break the cast. For fine hair, is it more risky to use a cream? I've never considered using a split end bender. Yeah, on super fine hair, I wouldn't use a cream. You might not even need an oil though. You might just be able to use your hands. Not everybody needs to use a product to break their cast. Typically, I only use an oil if the hair struggles to retain moisture. But like for very silky hair that is weighed down easily, I might use something like the Inner Sense I Create Shine, which is a very lightweight oil. Or I might use like the Inner Sense whipped texturizing paste. You take a pea-sized amount, you spread it out on your hands, and then you can scrunch that in because it's a texture builder, so it'll help you get lots of volume in your hair. You only apply it to dry hair, but you can use that to break your cast if you want to build lots of volume in your hair. But like you don't necessarily need to use a product to break your cast. So always think about like why are you using a product? Okay, so anywhere where I go and I can feel that moisture, I'll literally like grab the moisture with my hand and then go back in with the diffuser. There's not much though, it's pretty much dry. Would that work for long hair too? Would what work for long hair? So you can see I'm just really getting in there, breaking everything up. I'll even go in and break up some of the larger curl clumps. Your routine and diffuse, yeah, totally. I had long hair for a really long time. You might get a little bit less volume, not that I have a ton of volume today, but I'm not loving how my roots turned out today. I wonder why that is. Did I brush curl them forward? No. Oh well. Do you see that? That's so weird. I don't think that's ever happened before. How it turned out like that. Kind of weird. Debating if I want to do something to fix that. Here, I'm literally just wetting it right at the root. There we go. Just break that up a little bit. That's a little bit better. So basically I just don't like how these pieces are falling. So I just took a couple of root clips. I wet them again at the root. Just to give them a little bit more lift, because I pretty much like how they're falling everywhere else. And I think this is something people forget, is once your hair is 100% dry, you can touch it up. You can, like, if you don't like how something specific is falling, just re-dampen one little section. And this is a great use for root clips. Okay? I'm literally just taking water just to make it malleable again. And I just didn't like how it felt like it was like bending like straight down at the root. I want more lift so that I don't feel like Abraham Lincoln. It was giving serious Abraham Lincoln vibes. I don't know. Okay. There we go. And then I'm just going to hover diffuse that. I used more eye-create definition in this top section than I've ever used. I don't know if that contributed to it. see if that broke it up a little bit. Okay, that's much better. And now I'm just gonna break those up. Okay, that is much better. And there you go. It's as simple as that. There. That totally fixed it. I don't know if you can see the difference, but it just added like a little bit more like differences along the root, because before it was just like everything was bending inwards and it was, I don't know, it was doing a weird thing. Is this your natural color? If hair is color treated, would you still use the same products? If hair is color treated, I'm going to change the shampoo and conditioner I use. I'm probably not going to make as big of a change in the styling products, although it might affect the curl cream that I choose. More so if your hair is lightened, I would say, because hair that is lightened often needs a little bit more protein. However, this curl cream has protein in it, so, well, it's not a protein curl cream, it's a blowout cream, but yeah. But yes, this is my natural color. Okay, anyway, so this is my day one hair, guys. I'm gonna get 6 days out of this. My refresh tomorrow will probably be nothing. I'm just gonna shake it out a little bit more. My day 3 refresh will be, I shake it out a little bit more again. I might even use this to like brush it out. I'll break up probably a whole bunch of curl clumps that might have started to like clump together. And then usually around day 3, I'm gonna add a little bit of texture spray in my roots to really start building the volume, because as my hair day after day starts to get a little bit more frizzy, I start to really lean into the volume, which masks the frizz a little bit and makes it look more intentional. I might also, if I'm having some loss of curl, which would not be unusual for me, I might like either scrunch in a little bit of a volumizing foam, like a soft hold foam, or I might spray it with a little bit of a curl refreshing spray to help revive some of the curl. That's usually what I will do around day 3. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I diffuse my hair. Because I don't use water during my refreshes, my diffusing takes 5 minutes. I don't use water during my refreshes because it makes my hair frizzier when I add water to it. Everybody's hair is different. If your hair allows you to add water to it during a refresh without you having to fully resaturate your hair, great. But I typically say if you can avoid fully resaturating your hair, if you feel like you need to fully resaturate your hair, try a volumizing foam instead, a very lightweight volumizing foam, because it will dry much, much faster. That's why. If you fully resaturate your hair, it's going to take a while to rediffuse it, right? So you want a fast refreshing routine, so try scrunching in a foam instead, and it will take half the time to diffuse. Okay, so that is everything for today's live. I hope you learned something. And I go live every single Wednesday at 7:15 a.m. If you want to go back and watch the recording from today, it's going to be posted on Instagram and YouTube. If you have interest in I Create Volume, would that work? Yes, potentially. I haven't used it as a refreshing tool, but I've heard of people using it as a refreshing tool. Do you mean the I Create Volume isn't a foam? I Create Lift is a foam. I Create Volume is a lotion. Thank you so much. Learned so many things. example of the difference between foam and mousse. Yay! Okay guys, anyways, so this is my kind of defined look. It's gonna get more and more kind of luminous each day. If you want to see the progression of my hair day after day, I recently posted how my hair looks for like a 5-day period, I think, as like a reel. So you can definitely go check that out if you want to see my hair each day and like how it holds up. Yeah, I think like my favorite day was my day 3 or day 4 hair because it has the most volume. So yeah, anyways, that was a 90-minute live. That is what I've been striving for lately. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so if you have questions about appointments or the services that I offer in salon, definitely feel free to send me a DM either on TikTok or on Instagram. Definitely the easiest place to DM me is Instagram. DMing on TikTok is terrible. I hate it. But if you only have TikTok, of course, feel free to DM me there. Yeah, love you all. Okay, bye guys.